Today I'd like to speak to you a little bit about vaccines. My website is VacFacts.info. VacFacts.info. When you look back on, let's go to smallpox vaccine. In Leicester, in the England area, right after Jenner created the smallpox vaccine, there was originally many more outbreaks of smallpox and larger outbreaks of smallpox than it prevented. Many more outbreaks and larger outbreaks when they had their so-called herd immunity in Leicester. I mean, basically they had a herd immunity. They had bigger and larger outbreaks of smallpox than they'd ever had before. And anywhere where mass smallpox vaccine campaigns were introduced into the public, anywhere in the world, it created increased incidence of smallpox and vaccine injury as well. You know, they had the anti-vaccination league even in those days, because the public, even in those days, realized that vaccines were doing far more harm than good, and they opposed it. And the government pushed it anyway, because the vaccinators and the medical community had so much power even in those days. Look at the power they have today. When we got polio vaccine, what we ended up having was just before right at about the same time as the polio vaccine was produced and introduced into the public and used in public, they changed the official diagnosis of polio, drastically changed it. So where instantly on that day when they made that change, with the swipe of a pen, in that change, 30,000 cases of polio disappeared off the planet. You know, renamed as anything else but polio. You know, if you had polio vaccine, you couldn't have possibly had polio when they seen it, right? No iron lungs. You know, the majority of people who had polio, which were in good health, had few to no symptoms. There's always other circumstances that developed in polio, you know, such as full-scale tonsil removal, which was known in the studies to produce bulbar polio. DDT. DDT was a pesticide which was sprayed on a large scale back in those days, which is a neurological toxin. It opened up the spinal cord and the immune system, so where polio could take effect much more easily than if it never had been sprayed. You know, similar to aluminum adjuvants today, opening up the in multiple vaccines, especially aluminum adjuvants, opening up the blood-brain barrier and all the toxicity in the vaccines. Open up the blood-brain barrier, so where some individuals are going to be much more susceptible to vaccine injury than others. I mean, the reasons that some people are more susceptible are multi-fold, they're multi-dimensional, there's so much to that in that science, and it is real science, that and it's obviously all there. And we have pertussis vaccine today and measles vaccine today. And on my site you can go to a page that outlines multiple cases of pertussis and measles vaccine failure, where 80 to 90% of those found in the outbreak were fully vaccinated on schedule. So where do they see their vaccine success at? I have not had a vaccine in over 4 decades. In looking at partial records that I have, my last vaccine was 13 years old. I'm 58 years old. There are thousands, if not millions, of adults in the recent decades who have not been revaccinated since childhood. Vaccines certainly do not last for life, but you can see with, according to the data on pertussis and measles, they're not even protecting the kids that are recently vaccinated. Do you think polio vaccine lasts for life? You gotta be kidding me. There's not a chance. There's no vaccine ever. It totally circumvents, vaccines totally circumvent the natural immune processes in the surface immune responses, and there's no way in hell that vaccines even come close to mimicking natural immunity in the human body. There's just no way. And when you even go to the CDC or any of the official sources and you try to nail down, well, how long do these vaccines provide immunity and increase antibodies? It's not there. It's not there. It's deliberately not there because they know the story is very damning. That if they ever did a real study on that, showing how long those vaccines last, that alone would finish them as far as to people wanting to be vaccinated. You know, we have aluminum adjuvants causing overactivation of the brain's microglia cells with resulting brain inflammation. Multiple studies show that to be happening. Dr. Russell Blaylock, Susan Humphreys, you know, they all show, you know, how much aluminum is in the vaccine, you know, what these vaccines are doing. Dr. Russell Blaylock is really the authority on vaccines and aluminum adjuvants, and Susan Humphreys, I would guess, is the next best source you could go to. There's others. They're not the only ones. I mean, it's when you combine the whole thing together, it's a pretty damning picture. Teresa Deischer, Sound Choice Pharmaceutical Institute, she's finding short and long chain DNA and fragments in the vaccines. In the change points in autism, she finds them directly going up in the studies with each vaccine that was added to the vaccine schedule. You know, Dr. Ben Carson, he's a pediatrician who's running for president right now. And what I researched recently, he wasn't even aware. I mean, he's a pediatrician, right? How much education do pediatricians get about the ingredients in vaccines and how vaccines are made? No, they're just given education on how to prescribe pharmaceutical drugs and how and when to inject vaccines. He did not know that aborted field cells were used to create vaccines, and almost all of the vaccines right now, the mainline vaccines, are created with aborted field cells. He did not know that. He's running for president? Oh yeah, just found that last night. You know, a lot of information you get off Facebook. You know, on my VacFacts.info site, there's a direct link on the top of the main page that goes to Facebook. They'll start sharing information. If you're a shill or an infiltrator, I'll know. But if you're just a person or a parent who is looking for information, they'll start sharing information, and that's a pretty big deal because a lot goes on with that when you have over 1,000 friends on your friends list, and that information circulates further than you can imagine. But I can't imagine, you know, they say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but what about when those good intentions turn into a nightmare like vaccination, and you don't say anything, don't do anything, and you just keep injecting kids for a profit because your career, you spent too many years in medical school, you spent too much money, and you can't afford to say the hell with it and go work for the naturopathic side because maybe you have a family or whatever. They put these doctors, these pediatricians, in a hell of a bind and hell of a situation. So where their only option is if they quit, you basically qualify for nothing. You're back to square one. You're going to be riding the back of a garbage truck, or you're going to be working at a production factory for minimum wage, and your whole life is down the drain. And that's why they won't give it up. VacTruth.com is a very good site. Lots of good information there. You know, I would say that next to my site is one of the better sites that have all-around good information. VacTruth.com. A lot of vaccine shills replying on there, and you can see, you know, the evidence of the vaccine truth is basically easily seen in how badly that the too much to lose vaccine shills will attack that article 24 hours a day, how much effort and time they put into that. I don't have reply posting on my site. There'll be really no point to it because I don't really have articles. My site is basically a center of multiple page titled pages. It's a learning center. It's showing you what you need to look at, history of medicine, going back over 100 years, and showing you how you need to learn phase by phase what the truth is about vaccines and modern medicine. VacFacts.info. Thank you very much for listening to this video. Good day.